Welcome to Brown Struggle in Canada, and today we are going to east of Toronto to the historic city of Montreal.
This video might be helpful to you if you're planning to come to Montreal, as we're going to be sharing how we saw the best places in Montreal in just a weekend. Now, we started very early on our day one. We could do that because we traveled to Montreal a day before and woke up early to go see Montreal and an early view of the whole city.
As we arrived early, we found the parking to be completely empty. Even our walk to the observatory was quite relaxing and peaceful. There were several shortcuts in our way as the park had detours. We took a shortcut, but it's entirely up to you if you want to do a full walk. We were glad that we reached here early in the morning because the view was all ours. There was no one to block the view. We could stand anywhere to take photos. We could see the whole city and we could see everything from every angle, and we absolutely loved it.
So after Montreal, we decided to go to the Montreal Botanical Gardens. This definitely appears on almost all lists of must-visit places in Montreal, and we decided to go check it out. Now, we did find out that you need advanced booking to get into the garden, so make sure to get a reservation under your name.
There are several thematic and cultural gardens there. In our opinion, the Chinese garden takes the show. It's definitely the highlight of the park, so we went there first to check it out.
Now, the Chinese garden has this huge lake area that is surrounded by individual units of the garden area, and these are themed differently and made a little bit differently, representing different things in Chinese culture. I would definitely be interested to learn more about that, but it was amazing to see such harmony between these elements in here.
The next garden we saw was the Japanese garden. As you enter, you come across the pond where you can see beautiful koi fish slowly swimming around. This garden is based on the art and simplicity of Japanese culture.
Now, you may choose to see many other gardens located there because there is a big selection of them, but we could only see the aquatic garden after the Japanese garden, after which we had to leave to our next spot because it was time for lunch.
And for lunch, we tried the Montreal's most famous and one of the oldest restaurants of Quebec, La Banquise. It was so hard to choose from more than 30 different types of poutines. We tried 2 different ones and loved them both.
While having our lunch, we discussed about what we had seen so far, and we realized that the view from Montreal that we saw in the morning would look even better at night. So that was our next stop. We were headed back to Montreal to see a night view of the city. Now, as we reached closer to Montreal, we could clearly see that this was going to be much busier than the morning. The parking was completely full when we reached there. We had to wait for a bit for someone to move their car in order to park, but right after we have parked, we went out and started walking back towards the viewpoint, and this time we had to keep our flashlight on because it was completely dark. As for the view, it was absolutely beautiful. It made us think at the spot about the fragility and the unity of the human race. Now, after Montreal, our last stop was going to be back at the Botanical Gardens as we reserved in the morning for the Garden of Light at night.
The Gardens of Light is a seasonal event held at Montreal Botanical Gardens, and we were lucky that we got a chance to see it. The pathways were illuminated with the Halloween theme to give you some spooky chills. The gardens were glowing with hundreds of beautiful lanterns, making the whole experience so magical. Overall, it was an amazing experience.
Now, we were not in Montreal to see the nightlife of the city, but we did go to downtown Montreal at night, and it was nice to see that the whole city was ready to party. There was street food getting served, there were street shows happening, people were out and about just having fun, and it was such a lively atmosphere.
We started our second day from Old Montreal. We parked at the World Trade Center building nearby and walked towards the Notre-Dame Basilica. As we have been inside the cathedral before, we did not go inside again. But if you haven't been here before, I strongly suggest to visit the inside as well because it is extremely beautiful.
Next up, our direction was set towards the Old Port, and on our way was the Marguerite Bourgeoys historic site that we were going to check out next. The building is characterized by this beautiful golden statue right outside the building, and you enter through a bright red door right into the cathedral. Now, this historic site not only happens to be a historic site, but also is one of the best views of the Old Port. These views were absolutely amazing. There was also an old crypt inside the building which had a presentation showing us exactly how the building reached the state that it was in today. Now, after this, we got a chance to go downstairs and learn so much about the part of women in the history of Quebec. Also, do not forget to try a soft serve in Montreal. It's just unlike anywhere else.
Our next stop after that was the Old Port of Montreal. There were several water activities available, but since it was raining that day, we decided to go with a covered boat tour. We went with La Petite Navire, which was a small boat that could carry up to 40 people, and it was a lot faster than we imagined. It was a 45-minute guided tour, and we learned quite a few historic facts about the Old Port of Montreal.
Believe us when we tell you that the weather was much crazier than it looks in the video. But the captain of the boat was wonderful, and the person giving the guided tours kept us interested and entertained throughout the way, so it was not a problem at all. Up next, we went to the La Grande, which is the Ferris wheel in Old Port of Montreal. This is a 150 meter tall Ferris wheel, which means that this is definitely the best view of the Old Port in Montreal. To be honest, the day we went, it was raining, so we couldn't get the best view, but it was still a very enjoyable ride. After taking in some more views at the Old Port, it was time for our last stop as we had to leave for Toronto right after that so that we make it in time.
Our last stop was the Musée Grévin, which is the wax museum at Montreal Eden Centre. It had the wax statues of more than 120 famous personalities.
Now, if you've not been lucky enough to get a photo with a celebrity, this is probably the next best thing you can do.
This is how we spent our 2 days visiting the most popular places in Montreal.
If you know someone that's going to Montreal, don't forget to share this video with them as it might be of help.
If you have enjoyed the video, subscribe to our channel as there are many more travel videos on the way. This is Brown Struggle in Canada, and thank you so much for watching.